Hello guys, it's B. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today is the moment you have all been waiting for. How do we tier list killers in Dead by Daylight? You guys may not know what I'm talking about, so let me catch you up. On my TikTok channel, I asked all of you guys to fill out a survey that was linked in my bio, in which you rated killers from 1 to 5, 1 being too weak, 5 being too strong. We got a lot of responses, which was a little surprising to me, but today we're going to be seeing how your killer tier list, created by you guys, my audience, compares to my own. So without further ado, let us begin. In spot number 35, the worst killer in the game on both of our tier lists was Freddy. This was relatively unsurprising. Freddy is an incredibly weak killer, and I'm glad that we can all agree that he could use many, many buffs. In spot number 34 on my list was the Ghostface, and on yours was the Trapper. I don't totally disagree with your placement. I just put Ghostface down there because he has no chase power whatsoever. All he can really do is make you a one-hit, but I understand why you guys put the Trapper down there. The Trapper was not super far off on my list either. In spot number 33, I put the Trapper, and you guys put Michael Myers. Once again, very fair. Trapper was only one spot off from yours, and Michael Myers is incredibly weak. I feel like several people did actually rate him too strong or slightly strong in the survey, but I think people don't take into account the fact that that's really only true when we're talking about his add-ons, his very strong add-ons. But if we just look at the base kit, Michael is very, very weak. And even looking at some very commonly run add-ons like Scratch Mirror, yeah, he can stalk you through walls, but he is awful in chase, even with that add-on. So I understand why Michael is this low on yours, and he's not super far off on mine either. In spot number 32, the very top of the D tier, in my list was Michael Myers, and on yours was the Pig. I don't really understand why you guys put the Pig so low. Since they buffed her dash, it's a lot stronger now. She can make it almost all the way around a loop. It's super easy for her to mind game them now, and just sort of double back mid-dash and catch you wherever you are. And on top of that, she has the best built-in slowdown in the game of any killer. I've said this time and again, and I know this might be a hot take to some of you, but if the Pig was better in chase, or better just at something, if her stealth was better, maybe just anything like that, she would be one of the best killers in the game, just because of how insane that slowdown is. So I don't think that fourth weakest, or, spot number 31, top of D tier, is super fair to the Pig, and you'll see where I put her later on in the video. In spot number 30, the very bottom of C tier, you guys put Ghostface. Fair. I put Bubba. Bubba is going to be getting a buff soon, but this tier list was based on current Dead by Daylight, not any upcoming buffs or changes to the game. So, yeah, I think Bubba right now is an extremely weak killer, and you guys put him a lot higher than I thought you would. I don't think Bubba is very strong. He's a super fun, personality-filled killer to go against, except for the ones that obviously just, hard tunnel or basement face camp, whatever it is. But yeah. On spot number 29, I believe, we're on 29, you guys put the Hag. I put the Legion. I have absolutely no clue why you guys put the Hag this low. She's got insane map pressure and map mobility with her traps. It's a really good chase power too, especially at taller loops where the survivor cannot see if she's placing a trap there, and then you run over it, and then she teleports on top of you. She's like a better version of the Unknown in that sense with her, teleportation abilities. So I don't know why you guys put her this low. You put the Unknown significantly higher than you put her, and I don't think that's really fair. The Hag is a much stronger killer than I think you guys realize. In spot number 29, I put the Doctor, and you guys put the Legion. So we were just a little bit off on the Legion. You guys put him one spot higher than I did. And I think that's fair. I mean, y'all only put the Doctor a little bit higher too. You'll see him very soon. So no complaints with that one. In spot number 28, I put the Nemesis, and you guys put Sadako. Well, I don't think Sadako is very strong, because she has, like, no chase power whatsoever. I don't know if it was totally fair to put her this low, because she does have decent slowdown with her TVs and forcing you to go and get rid of your condemned stacks. And she has pretty good map mobility. I don't know. I don't think it's that unfair, so, you know, whatever. In spot number 27, I put the Death Slinger, and you guys put the Wraith. Yeah, I can see that. I can see it for sure. I don't think the Wraith is very strong. He doesn't really have a power outside of the cloaking and uncloaking, which isn't really a power. I mean, the little dash out of the cloaked into uncloaked is nice, but it's not crazy strong. So I understand why you put him there, and I put the Death Slinger where I did because I don't think of him as a very strong killer. In my opinion, the Death Slinger is one of those killers that requires a lot of effort for not the best output. So yeah. You guys, or I put the Trickster, and you guys put the Dredge. I think that's a fair placement for the Dredge. Not mad about that one. But the Trickster. We'll get to him a lot later in the video on you guys' list. But yeah, the Trickster is just incredibly map dependent, and so tile dependent as well. Locker spawns are important for him because that's where he reloads, as well as the fact that wide open maps are amazing for him, but like indoor maps, he's basically unplayable. A killer that is so dependent on something outside of their control is never going to be a great killer. It's just the way it is. So remember that when we come back to the Trickster. In spot number 25 on my list, I put the Wraith, and you guys put the Demogorgon. Once again, I think that's fair. I don't really take issue with that. Personally, I think of Demo as like bottom of B tier. Like, his shred is okay, he's got decent map mobility, but he does a lot of shit and none of it super well. That's how I think of the Demogorgon. So I understand why you guys, I understand why you guys put him there, but I definitely put him a little higher. And as for Wraith in that spot, it's not that far off from yours, so I'm sure you understand why I put the Wraith where I did. In spot number 24, I put Sadako, and you guys put the Doctor. Yeah, I mean, once again, I don't have any complaints about that. I think that's pretty fair on both ends. You guys put Sadako a little lower, I put the Doctor a little higher. So yeah, it's not that crazy. Now, for spot 23 and the very top of C tier, I put the Dredge, and you guys put the Nemesis. So you put Nemesis a little higher than I did, and you put Dredge a little lower than I did. The whole reason I put Dredge higher than Nemesis, in my opinion, is just that he has a really good map mobility with his teleportation to lockers. I don't know if I would say his chase power is better than the Nemesis. I don't know. The way I think of Dredge is jack of all trades, master of none. He does a lot of shit, but none of it well. So I understand from your perspective. Now moving on to the bottom of B tier, and spot number 22. I put the Demogorgon, and you guys put Bubba. I've explained why I believe Demogorgon should be there. As for Bubba, I don't really understand why you guys put him there. He is not strong enough to be bottom of B tier in my opinion, and I certainly wouldn't put him above like Nemesis, Demo, Doctor, like you guys did. So, If you're one of the people that believes Bubba is like a low B, let me know why. I'm interested to hear. If it's the chainsaw, his chainsaw is not good enough, in my opinion, to justify that. But yeah, I'm interested to hear your thoughts. In spot number 22 on my list was the clown, and on yours was the unknown. Yeah, I don't know. I think both of those are fair placements. I put clown there because I feel like he's like a solid B tier killer. And I think you guys put the unknown there because you think of him the same way. The unknown, in terms of scoring, was like the perfect just right. Like if you guys could have told me what killer you think is exactly right, needs no nerfs, no buffs, no nothing, it would have been the unknown. In terms of scoring, like I said, a perfect 3 would have been, like a perfect average of 3 would have been that kind of killer. The score you guys overall average gave the unknown was 3.07. So he was as close to perfect as you guys could come up with, and I don't disagree with that at all. I don't know if I would say the clown is perfect. I probably would make some tweaks, so that sort of tells me that maybe I put him a little too low or a little too high. So take you guys' word for that one. In spot number 20, I put the twins. Oh wait, and so did you guys. We both put the twins in the exact same spot. So yeah, no comments to be made about that one. In spot number 19, I put the knight, and you guys put the Deathslinger. I feel like that's a little too high for Deathslinger in my opinion. One thing I feel like you have to remember about Deathslinger that makes him like a C tier killer and not a B tier killer in my opinion is, first of all, he's the only ranged killer that has to reload after every single shot. Trickster gets like, I think it's 44 knives base kit now. Huntress gets 7 hatchets. The Plague's power's on a timer. Like, Deathslinger has to reload after every single shot. And he moves at 110. So, I don't think Deathslinger is a B tier killer at all. I would love to hear your thoughts as to why you guys think that. Because remember, like I said, in your eyes, right, the unknown was the perfect killer. Like, needs no nerfs, no buffs, no nothing, just leave him alone. So anyone higher than the unknown would be a little too strong to way too strong. So tell me why you think the Deathslinger is a little too strong. I am interested to hear that. Next, in spot number 18 on my list was the Skull Merchant. And for you, it was Pyramid Head. As you noticed, I put Skull Merchant and Knight right next to each other. I feel like the Skull Merchant is literally just a better version of the Knight. She is unoriginal. She is boring. Yeah. That's the Skull Merchant. And you guys put Pyramid Head. I think that's fair, like middle of B tier for Pyramid Head. But I find it funny because the entire reason I'm making this YouTube video is because on my TikTok, people accused me of having a skill issue because I don't find playing against Pyramid Head fun. Not because I think he's too strong, but because I find him unfun. And it shows here that you guys definitely think that Pyramid Head is slightly too strong. If the unknown is perfect and he's above the unknown, then you think he's slightly too strong. So it's a little funny how that worked out. I don't think Pyramid Head is crazy strong. I don't even think I would make a whole lot of changes to him, but it seems like you guys would, so I would like that explained. In spot number 17, you guys put, I put the Pig, and you guys put the Artist. Why did you guys put the Artist so low? She is a very, very strong killer in my opinion. I mean, she has some of the best map pressure in the game with her birds. She can force you off of gens. She can force you into unwinnable situations at tiles and loops. Like, it's just, I think she's very strong. Boring? Yes. To play as and against. But very strong, all things considered. So I don't know why you guys put her this low. Maybe it's just from not playing against her a whole lot. And I put the Pig where I did because I feel like that is a really fair spot for her, like middle of B tier, you know? with her slowdown and her new and improved dash. I think that's a fair placement for her. It was pretty hard for me to place her, though, because it's hard to take into account all of those things with all of these killers, so I understand. In spot number 16, I put Pinhead, and you guys put the Singularity. Okay, yeah, I understand that. I don't think of Pinhead as an extremely strong killer, although I do understand the pain of going against him in solo queue. One of the strongest things about Pinhead is his solo queue pressure, with the box especially. And just a little tip for you guys, if you see that nobody is doing it by the time the chain hunt meter is half full, go do it yourself. And then as for your placement with the Singularity, I understand that. I understand that. I don't think he's extremely strong or anything. I also don't think he's super weak. He is one of those killers that is so hard to learn, though, so I really applaud a good Singularity. Anytime I come across one, it's like, go you. You took the time to get good at this killer. I am proud. In spot number 15, I believe, I put the Unknown, and you guys put the Clown. So we were pretty much flip-flopped on the Unknown and Clown. I put the Unknown where you guys put the Clown, and you guys put the Unknown where I put the Clown. Right. I understand why you have the Clown there. I do. I really, really do. Especially if you're a bit of a newer player, the Clown is an incredibly oppressive killer in Chase. And don't listen to anybody who tries to tell you that the Clown is the worst killer in the game. There are people who genuinely believe that. If you ever feel stupid, remind yourself of that. In spot number 14, I put the Singularity, and you guys put Wesker. I think you guys didn't do Wesker a whole lot of justice with that, especially looking at the top few killers that you guys have. Wesker is objectively stronger than a lot of these killers. And if I had to point to a killer and say a killer should not get stronger than this one right here, it would be Wesker. So based on where I have Wesker in the tier list, I think that's fair. But based on where you guys have Wesker in the tier list, I would definitely move that up. Like, the future killers should not be stronger than X. So I don't really get why you guys put Wesker that low. I definitely think he's stronger than, high B tier. And definitely stronger than a lot of the killers that you guys put him beneath. And as for my placement on the Singularity, I put him a couple spots higher than you guys. So, yeah, not crazy there. In spot number 13, I put the Plague as a Plague main, and you guys put the Oni. I don't think that does justice to the Oni either. The Oni is an incredibly strong killer, and he's got a power similar to the Plague's in that first chase of the game and how the survivors handle it can affect the rest of the game. But with the Plague, you have to remember, right? With the Oni, you heal as often as possible, okay? To make sure he's not constantly getting these, big deposits of blood orbs. But with the Plague, she is a normal M1 killer with no power the second the team decides not to cleanse. And as a Plague main, I've played against so many teams in my time that have just chosen not to cleanse, and I lose these games because, once again, without that Corrupt Purge, you are just an M1 killer. Just an M1 killer that every survivor is a one-hit down against. And that's just not good enough. I mean, it's the same thing that Myers and Ghosty do. They make you a one-hit down with their power. And you don't see them at the top of this tier list. So I don't really think it's fair to put the Plague as high as you guys have. And I won't reveal that just yet, but I don't think it's fair to put her as high as you guys have until you realize just how unnecessary it is to cleanse and how much it actually benefits you not to. In spot number 12, you guys have put Pinhead, and I put the Hag. Yeah, I put the Hag significantly higher than you guys did. I understand if you put her lower because you haven't played against her a whole lot. Hags are incredibly rare. I've been playing, constantly, like consistently, since November of last year, October and November of last year. I've played for a long time before that, but that's when I started consistently playing again. And I have gone against 10 hags maybe in that time, if that, maybe a little less than 10. So they are very, very rare. And so if you put her low because you weren't really sure, like you've only played against her once or twice maybe, I understand that. But she is a much stronger killer than you guys give her credit for. And as for your placement on Pinhead, I assume this comes from a lot of you guys playing solo queue, and I understand that as well. In spot number 11, I put the Alien, the Xenomorph, and you guys put the Hillbilly. I don't know if I would call Billy top of B tier. I think he's stronger than that, but he's still so much fun. He's like Wesker, in my opinion, right? Like, it's fair to put them pretty close to each other, because Wesker is so much fun to loop. There's interaction, there's enjoyment on both sides. It's just a fun experience, and I find the same to be true with Hillbilly. They're pretty similar killers, except Hillbilly has significantly more map mobility, so I definitely think it's good that you guys put him higher than Wesker. And I put the Alien at the top of B tier because, I mean, I will die on the hill that this killer creates unwinnable situations. I mean, it is really, really, really hard to loop this killer. And I don't believe that any killer, or any survivor, or any perk, or any map, or any whatever, should create an unwinnable situation for the other side. The Alien does that. And so I think he is slightly too strong. I would rework his tail quite a bit, and I would rework turrets as well. So I think top of B tier is a strong position for him. I don't know if he's definitely not stronger than, like, the killers that I have in A and S tier, but, you know, he's a strong killer. In spot number 10, is that where we are? It is. In spot number 10, I've put Pyramid Head, and you guys have put the Plague. Once again, a little too high for the Plague, I think. You know, her entire power depends on the survivors. Having a power that you can't control automatically off the bat is not a super strong power. Not weak, of course, because once you give her that corrupt purge, it is strong. But it's not weak, but it's not crazy strong either. It's not A tier strong. And this is the bottom of A tier, like I've said. This is the last killer in A tier. And as for my placement of Pyramid Head there, I just think that Pyramid Head, like the Alien, creates unwinnable situations. I mean, their powers are basically the same, if you think about it. The Alien's is a tail that can go over pallets, and Pyramid Head is a, you know, the same kind of thing. It's not a tail, but it's a trail that can go underneath pallets or through walls or tiles. I mean, it's the exact same power, if you really think about it. I just think Pyramid Head is slightly stronger because his power can also hinder you. He doesn't have, like, something like the turrets that hinder him, and his power is very, very strong, if you think about it in terms of tunneling. Just being able to cage survivors and allowing them and disallowing them to activate their anti-tunnel perks is way too strong, in my opinion. So, yeah. In spot number 9, I put Wesker, and you guys put the Alien. Once again, I think you were only a few spots off from me with the Alien, so I'm not super, you know, weird about that or anything. And I think my spot for Wesker is fair. Like I said, I think of Wesker as the no killer should be stronger than this. And that is spot number 9 on my tier list. Spot number 9 on yours is the Alien. So if we go off you guys thinking the same way, hypothetically, then you would think that no killer should get stronger than the Alien. And somehow you believe some of these killers to be stronger than the Alien. So, moving on to spot number 8 on my tier list was the Artist, and on yours was the Huntress. I think that's pretty fair for the Huntress. I didn't put her that much higher, but I definitely think you guys didn't do the Artist justice by putting her, like, middle of B tier. She's a much stronger killer than you guys think, and so that's why I put her, like, low A tier, where you guys have the Huntress at. In spot number 7, I put the Oni, and you guys put the Trickster. You put the Trickster as the 7th best killer in the game. Once again, okay? The Trickster, while very, very, very strong on the right maps and tiles, can be like one of the best killers in the game on some of these maps and tiles. Can also plummet to the worst killer in the game on the opposite maps and tiles. You cannot call a killer that is that reliant on variants in maps, tiles, locker spawns, etc. to be the 7th best killer in the game. What makes a great killer is the fact that they deny game mechanics. Okay, like the nurse, she teleports through walls. Okay, she denies a variety of game mechanics. She denies looping, she denies pallets, she denies window vaults, she denies just about everything survivors know. The Trickster cannot do that. And he's just far too map dependent, okay? He is objectively not the 7th best killer in the game. I have no idea how he got all the way up here, to be quite frank with you guys. In spot number 6, I have the Huntress, and you guys have the Knight. Once again, the Knight is not a strong killer, okay? He's a pain in the ass killer. He's very, very, very annoying to go up against. He requires no skill. He presses a button called the skill button and can win a chase from it. But he is not the 6th strongest killer in the game. Okay? He doesn't have enough control over the things that the survivors can do for it to be 6th best killer in the game. If you're thinking, oh, but he can just, like, corner me to loop. You don't loop the Knight, though, that's why. You loop him while his power's on cooldown, and then the second you see him start to spawn a guard, you leave and go to the next tile. And then he's on cooldown again and has to chase you normally. It's literally just a rinse and repeat, boring-ass cycle, in fairness, but not strong. Okay? The Knight is not the 6th best killer in the game. I do not understand y'all's thought process on this. I'd love to hear it. At spot number 5, I put the Hillbilly, and you guys put the Spirit. Way too low for the Spirit. She is arguably has always been the 2nd or 3rd best killer in the game. Her add-ons are absolutely insane. The fact that it's funny because I've heard people say this before. The Spirit, like really good Spirit players, get as close to cheating as a Dead by Daylight player can get without actually cheating. Because they use like all these sound and audio programs to boost their audio so they can hear every little like blade of grass that the survivor moves when they're running and things like that. But good spirits are really, really scary. Like, really scary. Especially for me being hard of hearing, I can never actually tell when she's in power. So, yeah, I don't think 5 is high enough for her, honestly. I understand how she got to where she was once we get to the last few killers on this list. But, yeah, definitely stronger than 5th. And I put the Hillbilly where I did just because I think after his buff, he's a very, very strong killer. Lots of great map mobility. You're a one-hit down with his chainsaw. The turn rate is insane, especially with the add-ons, and he has no cooldown. The Hillbilly needs a few slight nerfs, in my opinion. This buff of his was overtuned, although necessary, albeit necessary. I do think that it was a bit overtuned. In spot number 4, I have put the Blight, and you guys have put Chucky. Fair. Yeah, I have nothing to say about that, aside from, yeah. And in spot number 3, I have Chucky and you have the Blight, so it's literally just flip-flopped. Yeah, since Blight's little nerf to his ability to hug tech, in my opinion, he is slightly weaker. Not as weak as people thought he was going to be, but definitely slightly weaker, which is why I now have him at 4 instead of 3. And Chucky is just objectively too strong of a killer. The Scamper, the Slice and Dice, everything needs a rework. Chucky is an unfair, unbalanced, unfun killer. I've made so many videos talking about this. Other content creators have as well. A good Chucky is unbeatable. moving on to the S tier, because that was the last of the A tier. We have 2 killers in the S tier. And spot number 2 on my list was obviously the Spirit. Since Blight's little nerf, I definitely think she's still better than Chucky. But she's now better than Blight in my opinion, and does deserve her spot in the S tier. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much else to say about that. But in spot number 2 in the S tier, you guys have put the Skull Merchant. We need a moment of silence for that. The Skull Merchant. You guys have put the Skull Merchant as the second best killer in the game. Better than Blight, better than Chucky, better than Spirit, better than Huntress, better than Alien, better than Plague, better than Hillbilly, better than Oni, Wesker. Just no. I mean, just no. Yeah. Her power is really unfun to go against. Just like the Knight. Very unfun, very repetitive, very boring. But, I mean, she's just not good enough to be the second best killer in the game. She's a lot like a much better version of the Dredge. She does a lot of shit, none of it super well. And I know she's difficult to go up against in solo queue, because I do have a lot of solo queue experience, but the first time you play against a Skull Merchant when you're in a Swift, oh my god. It is like, even if it's not a full Swift, even if you just have 1 friend or 2 friends and like a random, it is just game changing, okay? Of course, if everybody's solo queuing, she's going to be a little bit rougher to go up against. Still not second best killer in the game rough, guys. I don't know how you got to this conclusion. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you reached that the Skull Merchant deserved to be second best killer in the game. And, unsurprisingly, at the top of the S tier, in first place on both of our tier lists, was the Nurse. I don't think this is ever going to change. But yeah, we'll see in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Follow me on all my other socials, linked down in the description. And I really hope that you guys sort of rethink how strong these killers are in comparison to other killers. And I would love to hear some of your explanations in the comments as to why you rated certain killers the way you did, if you did complete the survey. And I'd also like to hear whose tier list you think is closest to your own. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.